My name is Christina Isabel Tellez, and I want to start by taking us back to a moment when I was 8 years old. We were holding a potluck at our family home in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. It was a sunny afternoon, and my parents had invited over many family friends, and they had brought along their children. Everyone was happy. We were playing in the backyard. The barbecue was lit up. It was a beautiful afternoon. One of my friends, another 8-year-old, was standing in our living room looking at something. As I came up beside him, I saw that he was examining our family portrait. In the photo, my family stands in a semicircle. I pose proudly in the middle, wearing a pale blue dress and bright purple sneakers, an outfit I definitely regret 15 years later. My chin is tilted slightly upward. I'm confident at my place at the center of this family. We are the image of comfort and happiness. I stood beside the boy for a moment before he turned to me and asked, "Why don't you look like them?" I was so shocked by his question. This was just a photo of Mom, Dad, Johnny, Juani, and me. Who was there not to look like? And for the first time in my life, I saw that I don't look like my siblings. I'm a peachy pink and they're a golden brown. For the first time, I saw us as a family from different worlds, a Canadian mother, a Bolivian father, and 4 children that fall somewhere in between. Growing up in Canada, I had relatively little contact with my Bolivian family, although I had spent short school visits there on vacations, and more recently during a COA internship. I knew relatively little about them, just the basic details. So this gives you a bit of background on the journey I went on to Bolivia in the fall of 2015 and the winter of 2016 to uncover and explore my narrative inheritance. My work has culminated in a collection of creative essays that reflect on themes of belonging, connection to place, and cross-cultural identities within the context of my family's narratives. I spent the fall documenting my family's stories through talking with family members, investigating at archives, visiting significant sites, and examining photos and documents while taking Quechua classes. In the winter, I narrowed my focus on specific moments and experiences that have shaped my family's journey, placing myself within our story. I returned to COA this spring to further refine and edit the essays. I prepared for this project through reading Latin American memoirs and drawing upon academic material that addressed themes of my project, such as narrative inheritance and intimate ethnography. Throughout the year, my work was supported by weekly meetings with Jamie McCowan, my project director. Our conversations were essential to my learning, as not only was I provided with concise feedback, and many of my assumptions were challenged, but I was given the occasional reality check. One of the main ways I collected stories throughout my months in Bolivia was through talking with my grandmother. I want to share with you a brief excerpt from a piece entitled La Mami that I wrote about our afternoons together. We call her La Mami, the mother. Every year she turns 72 again. And watching her dance, wash clothes by hand, and travel across the country on overnight buses, I'm inclined to believe her. With 7 children, over 30 grandchildren, and 20 great-grandchildren, she is our ageless matriarch. It's one of those afternoons in the garden, and we sit with the recorder between us. Since I arrived in Bolivia and started talking to her about my senior project, she's gotten used to the black recorder accompanying our conversations. It follows us on the course of our talk, soaking in the soundtrack of the world around us. It picks up the monotone calls of the fruit vendors going by on the street, making their pitch to the large megaphone tied precariously to the hood of their cars. It catches the clatter of construction work on the surrounding condominiums that have been popping up all around her house. It notices the sound of the little birds as they bounce and twitter on the brick wall that surrounds the garden. The dogs in the backyard are growling and copulating. Their outbursts punctuate her story about my great-great-grandmother's dramatic death. Tu bisabuela, Juana Aramayo del Río, se murió tomando una soda. Eran los días de un festival en Potosí y tenían la tradición de comer rosquetes. Bueno, Juana ya era un poco débil, estaba resfriada, y cuando se comió el pastel le daba mucho sed. Quería tomar y tomar y tomar. Lo único que había era soda. Entonces la Juana tomó mucho soda, y de eso se contagió con una neumonía. Se vivió unos días más sufriendo, y luego falleció. Por eso, mijita, no hay que tomar mucha soda. Every person in my family has heard this story about my great-great-grandmother's tragic death at least 20 times. We all know the cadence of La Mami's voice when she tells about how Juana was feeling sick, the way La Mami's eyebrows raise when she says the word pneumonia. We're used to the casual way she mentions that Juana's death was caused by drinking a soda. She tells the story slowly, savoring the memory as she recounts it for the 100th time. I nod and murmur as she pauses and then moves on to stories about other family members. You see, I've spent most of my life with a continent separating me from La Mummy and her stories. And whether I can believe all of them or not, her stories are also mine. We bask in the relaxed afternoon, cocooned in this moment, as my grandmother shares the stories she always tells, and I give the reactions I always give. After my time at COA finishes tomorrow, I'll continue to move between both of these worlds. I'm going up to Labrador to spend the summer in northern Canada with my mum, and then in the fall, I'll be going back down to Bolivia to see what adventures I encounter there. Thank you.